Hello, I'm Bit-Size Gamer, and welcome to my channel. Jagged Alliance 3 is a great game because it presents to you, the player, many interesting decisions and allows for a lot of optionality, a lot of options as to how you, as the player, can tackle those interesting decisions. And it does so right from the very beginning, in um, allowing you to make the decision as to who to bring in your starting team. At higher difficulty levels, this decision is actually pretty interesting and difficult. At the First Blood difficulty level, the lowest level, you have $40,000 to start. But at Commando level, and I think also at Mission Impossible level, you only start with $30,000. So you really have to think hard about who you're going to bring to Grand Chien and what they have to offer, whether it's skills or weapons or perks, what they have to offer to your starting team. So I've decided, because this is a really interesting decision, to talk to you guys about my top 5 tips for choosing your starting teams at higher difficulty levels in Jagged Alliance 3. So without further ado, let's start. Number 1, consider the 14-day discount. So looking at the prices here for each of the mercs, it really only shows you their price for 7 days. But they could actually be, it could be sort of deceiving, because you may think that because, let's say for example, Kalina costs $4,200 for 7 days and Fox costs $5,040, that on a per day basis, if you chose Kalina on for 14 days, that she would be cheaper than Fox. But that's actually not the case. So for example, contacting Kalina.
Computer. I am Kalina. Nice to meet you. Are you offering a job?
Kalina costs $8,400 for 14 days. I talk a little bit about this in my Commando level, Commando difficulty Iron Man Let's Play, link below. But Kalina's, I think, the only merc. I haven't found any others that's like this, where she is $600 a day, no matter if you choose her for 3 days or contract her for 14 days. She's always $600 a day. So 14 times 600 is $8,400. $600 times 3 days is $1,800. So no matter what, she's always $600 a day. So for 14 days, she's $8,400. Fox, who you might think is more expensive for 14 days.
Fox here. If this is about a job, I'm all ears.
Given that her
completely true. I have other parts too.
Given that her 7-day cost is higher than Kalina's, her 14-day cost is only $6,320 versus Kalina's $8,400. So my first tip is actually go through each one and determine each merc and determine their 14-day discount. Kalina has no 14-day discount, but all of the rest have some sort of 14-day discount. And you may be surprised as to how cheaply you can get some of the mercs for 14 days as opposed to other mercs. So check the mercs for their discounts, for sure, for their 14-day discounts. Number 2, considering hiring Kalina for 3 days just for her gun. Now, we talked about how Kalina is 600 days whether you hire her for 3 days or for 14 days. And, you know, while her stats are nothing to really write home about, she's got terrible wisdom, 48. She's got decent mechanical, 67, but she doesn't have the Mr. Fix-It perk. And, you know, her marksmanship is okay at 80. And while the Night Ops perk is nice, and her leadership skill is not bad, actually. Really, for starting, she has the best weapon of all the mercs that you can hire to start the game, which is the Gewehr. And, you know, I'd be willing to pay $1,800 for this gun, and also for the wire cutters and the ammo. So in my mind, I think it's worth it to hire her for just 3 days for $1,800 and obtain these three items, and her for 3 days. Number 3, consider not bringing a doc. So you can get away in terms of healing as long you can basically assign a mercenary to the healing option on the strategic level screen, healing wounds, as long as they have a medical skill above 30. So you could hire someone like, for example, Buns, who has a medical of 49, and she could function as a doctor. She without actually giving up any sort of combat ability. Forget who else also has pretty high, like Livewire also has pretty high medical at 50. So she could actually, in a pinch, also serve as a doctor for the team. So you don't really need to hire like Fox or MD who have, specific medical training, or Thor, or Dr. Q here. You don't have to hire a specific doctor with medical training. You can actually get away with Livewire with her 50 medical, or even Buns with her 49 medical, or even your imp character. You can train him. You can start him off with 30 medical, and he could sort of serve as a doctor in a pinch. Even though it may cost you longer, and perhaps even more meds to do the healing. I haven't actually checked that out, but or did a comparison to see who could do it faster. But still, in a pinch, you could go without a doctor. You could bring someone else who's more sort of combat worthy. Number 4, match the effective weapons to specific mercenaries. So when, or at least consider matching weapons to mercenaries. And so, for example, Barry has this perk, Breach and Clear, where he gains a free move after throwing grenades or making shotgun attacks. He starts with this pistol, but if you were to hire Amrin, you basically have a double barrel shotgun. And if you hired Amrin, you could then give this double barrel shotgun to Barry. And he would be able to use it much more effectively. Same goes for Kalina. If you hired Kalina for the 3 days, you get her Gewehr. And then you could hire someone with higher marksmanship, like, for example, Steroid here, who has a marksmanship of 89, or who I like to use, which is Buns, who has a very high 86 marksmanship skill, as well as very high dexterity, which will help her in terms of aiming and firing. So you could give Buns the Gewehr, and she would be very effective with the Gewehr. So when hiring your first team, consider the synergies between matching weapons to specific mercenaries. It may require you to hire 2 mercenaries in order to really effectively equip one, and I do recommend that, and I actually do that in my Commando difficulty level playthrough, and link below. Number 5, hire your imp. So the imp is the only mercenary who has a one-time cost and doesn't have a cost or a weekly or bi-weekly 14-day cost. So definitely hire the imp and make sure you use him for his full advantage, because he is free for 14 days, although there's a one-time cost, but it doesn't have any continuing costs. And so I personally like to go with an imp that has basically the max level health, the max level agility, the max level dexterity. I like to have 70 for strength, because Strength has a perk in the first in the 70 skill number level, which I guess I'll call the bronze level, which allows for more accurate shooting when firing subsequent shots at the same target. So I like to have his strength up to 70, and then just all of the remaining sort of important attributes: health, agility, dexterity, wisdom, and marksmanship, all the way to the max 85, leaving just a tiny bit for leadership and a tiny bit for medical, which is my preference, but you guys can choose how you guys like to play it. This game, as I said, Jagged Alliance is a game that has many interesting decisions and allows for a lot of different ways to tackle those interesting decisions. And so I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this comment, please hit the like button, comment, or subscribe. Really get out there and have fun with this game. It's so good. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.